All right, I'm back again. I decided to do a retake because I felt like there was some things I might have said that I probably feared I might have would get myself into trouble if I decided to submit the original one. So I decided to do a retake of this and be a little bit more careful as to what I say, because even if it's not meant to be uh, anything wrong, I don't want to get myself into trouble or get people thinking the wrong way. But anyway, we're doing a retake of Marvel Superheroes Wolverine Beginner's Guide, and we're gonna go back to the Rocky Mountain stage and play with both our Wolverines. And once again, Wolverine makes an encore for this player's guide. So we're going to be covering this beginner's guide will help players get into the basics of learning Wolverine and to hopefully get players into enjoying playing Marvel Superheroes, which was released in 1995 by Capcom. This is also the last of the 10 playable characters that we're covering player beginner's guides for right now. We will probably do Doom, Thanos, and Tinia in a future date, but not right now. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get a little overview out of the way, followed up by the usual stuff we normally do on here, which is movement, normals, throws, um, specials, and supers. Actually, I kind of realized I didn't do the throws on the last one, so it's probably a good thing we actually get this out of the way right now and get this retake out of the way. So anyway, let's get started. So for those of you who have been longtime comic book fans, Wolverine initially started off as a solo comic before he eventually became part of the X-Men, which has been pretty much his been part of that group's history since then. He's also arguably one of the most oldest heroes in the Marvel comics universe, thanks to his healing factor, and he's been heavily involved in a lot of things throughout the years. He's also regarded to be one of the best fighters within the X-Men in general, and he's been fighting for so many years, it's not even funny. And gameplay wise, he's arguably one of the more notable combo deliverers. And he can pretty much combo just about everything he needs into a combo if he so wants. Just like that. For the most part, he's going to be used very heavily for combos. He's also arguably one of the more heavy to reliable infinite dealers for the most part. So if you see Wolverine players on ranked or casual, you should probably assume that he's going to be they'll be using infinites a large amount of the time. They will fish for infinites whenever possible. But for the most part, this beginner's guide is mostly going to focus mostly on the basics with Wolverine, so that way anyone that wants to get into this game will be able to do so. And we're going to get started with his movement. So Wolverine has some pretty decent walk speed, not bad. Has pretty decent backdash hop, but of course his forward dash is what you want to be utilizing most of the time when you're dashing with Wolverine. Or go for low combos like this. And try to get some pretty good combos going with Wolverine for the most part. But for the most part, you're going to be want to take full advantage of his forward dash because that actually comes out pretty fast. Not to mention covers a vast amount of ground. And he does have a triangle jump, which you'll see right here. So if you're near the wall, you can use that to get out of sticky situations or go for some offense capability. But you'll probably use that to get away from opponents and try to avoid certain attacks. So with the super jump, once Wolverine's direction is more stabilized, you're going to find yourself committing yourself almost to one direction. For the most part, it's very hard for him to fall backwards, but pretty easy to fall forwards on the descent. You'll have more control on the forward descent than backward jumps. So if you're doing super jumping with Wolverine, make sure to do reverse jumps, then control Wolverine on the forward descent. But anyway, that covers mostly Wolverine's movement. It's time to do his normals once again. So this is his standing light, crouch light, and aerial light. So we'll do those right now. And this is his medium punch. You can spam this multiple times on both ground and air. This is his crouching medium, which you can use to set up a launcher with that. And this is his medium airs, which you'll probably use mostly for air combat. So let's do all of them in fashion. And when you do air combos with this, you can definitely rack up a lot of hits pretty easily. So it's a pretty good way to do a simple air combo with that in general. But most of the time, anyone who's played Wolverine at a high level will probably be mixing up a lot of norms to string to some stronger hits. So Heavy Punch, of course, allows him to do a cross slash attack, which covers a very wide range. And from this position, he can basically hit enemies from right here. He also has a downward Heavy Punch, and he also has an aerial Heavy Punch version. He does have a unique command move with Heavy Punch, which allows him to do a slide. Sadly, it doesn't launch. In Children of Atom, you were able to do this into crouching heavy kick, but it's not so easy to do in this version. Might be more possible with heavier characters. So let's do all that again. This is standing damage. This is crouching damage. And this is jumping damage. And this is the slide damage. So now we're moving on to the kicks. So Wolverine has a pretty good long-range light kick on standing. And crouching light kick. And this is the aerial light kick. This is actually pretty good for air-to-air coverage. Most of his norms are very good for fighting enemies on air as well. So this is basically his standing light kick damage, crouching light damage. This is his aerial light kick damage. So now we're going to cover his medium kicks next. So basically this is his basic standing medium kick. It does nothing, but up close, when the first hit connects, you can get a second hit there. The crouching medium kick, of course, is his sweep. So you can basically set that up for get a pretty decent air combo starter right there. So anyway, that covers just about all of them except for the aerial kick, which is basically an anti-air. So you can basically intercept jumping opponents with this and use that in air combos. During the descent down, either for regular jumps or air jumps, you get the ability to perform a dive kick. Now later crossovers, it becomes a straight drop instead of a dive kick. This can also be done on air as well, and it can also be canceled into a number of moves. And you can definitely cancel that into your heavies, for one thing. So that covers all of his medium kicks. Now we're covering his heavy kicks. So heavy kick allows Wolverine to perform his launcher, and you'll use that to set up your air combos. This is his crouching heavy kick that allows him to deal knockback damage. And this is his heavy kick. And if you can get the positioning correct, you can use that to protect Wolverine's back when an enemy tries to jump over you as well. So let's do all that again for damage purposes. Yeah, it's very hard to get the heavy kick for ground unless you're fighting huger opponents. So that covers pretty much all of Wolverine's normals. So we're going to go ahead and cover his throws, which I forgot to do during the last thing. So Wolverine has mostly punches for his throws, both medium and heavy versions. So this is basically his medium throw. This will always throw the opponent on the opposite end. This is his heavy throw. This will always allow Wolverine to basically pin his opponent to the ground. You can actually mash your punch buttons to get more damage. Probably not on the medium throw, but you can do this with his ground throws, namely his fierce. make the move come out more faster. Now, Wolverine also has an air throw as well. And just like the ground throw, you can actually mash to speed up the process. Go over that again. So basically it deals less amount of damage. But of course, if you mash your punch buttons, you can actually rack up more damage. I think you can also mix kicks with it too. Anyway, that covers the throws. So now we're going to cover his specials, starting off with the Drill Claw. The Drill Claw is basically one of Wolverine's offensive special tools. This also acts as his Infinity Counter, which we'll cover that in a bit. So this basically allows the move will only activate if you do a hard press on both the light and quick kick, light punch and light and punch and kick. And this allows him to do that. This can also be done with medium. Each version allows Wolverine to travel a little bit further. So this is his light, this medium, and this heavy. So sometimes heavy won't always activate on its own. So if you're having problems getting the move to activate, sometimes holding a certain direction will actually help you. Will help you actually get your move out. But it's a very hard move to proc sometimes. Now, whenever you're holding a specific direction with Wolverine, he'll be able to use it in the direction that you want him to go. Like this. And that can be not only used for offensive tool purposes, but that can also be used as a quick escape means too. This can also be performed in the air. And it does allow Wolverine to clip to a wall. Now, one of the cool things in X-Men Children of the Atom is that you can do mobile drill claws if he got to a wall or whatever. This can also be used as an air combo ender too. But for the most part, you'll probably use drill claw as your go-to fake out move if they block all your norms, and you can do this at the end to fake them out and damage them as well. So anyway, that covers the Drill Claw. Now we're going to cover his Tornado Claw, which is the next special move we're covering. So Tornado Claw is basically his Dragon Punch move. And on its own, it doesn't appear to be impressive in terms of damage. Well, it shows like doing 3 hits, but when you mash punch buttons with it, though, you actually deal more hits. Now, the light will always deal 7 hits when you mash. And 5 hits whenever you do the medium or the heavy version of Tornado Claw. So whenever you do Tornado Claw, always mash your punch buttons because that'll get you some additional hits. This can also be performed right after a crouching medium punch too. It's also a good way to end your combos too on the ground, I might add. So that covers his Tornado Claw. Now we're covering Berserker Barrage. Now this used to be an actual special in X-Men Children of the Atom. And on its own, it doesn't appear to be impressive. But like Tornado Claw, this actually racks up more hits and damage when you actually perform the punch button associated with it. So as you can definitely see, when you mash your assigned punch buttons, you get more hits. So heavy will always deal 8 hits when you mash punch buttons. 6 hits with medium, and 4 on the light. So basically, whenever you do Berserker Barrage, you definitely want to be mashing your punch buttons in general. So you can rack up more damage and more hits. So anyway, that covers his specials. Now we cover his supers. So in this game, Wolverine got a new super in general, which is Weapon X. This is basically a Rambo type super, which enables Wolverine upon connecting, hitting the opponent, allows him to do 12 free hits of damage. It's basically his highest damage dealing. Of course, enemies can block that. It's not very easy to pull off and add it to combos. But of course, it deals more damage. Of course, when you get your opponent stunned. So whenever you deal stun damage to your opponents, you actually deal more damage to them. So that's something to keep in mind too. But overall, this is actually a pretty cool way to end matches. And if they try to go for certain supers or special moves that you can easily bypass, this will allow Wolverine to get like a free 12-hit smorgasbord of hits, pretty much. Of course, there are certain specials and supers that can easily stop Wolverine dead in his tracks from Weapon X connecting. So that covers Weapon X. Now we're covering his final, I should probably say supers. This covers, we're on the supers at the moment, so we're covering Barrage X next. So Barrage X is basically a free 12-hit super. It's basically the ramped up version of the original Berserker X. Of course, I got that wrong. I triggered the Weapon X by mistake. This can also be chained off of an OTG, but you need to wait until they hit the ground, because if you try to go for it right after they get knocked down, you probably won't get nearly as much hits or damage. But it's a pretty good tool for OTG in general. All right, a few more tidbits before we close down the guide. Wolverine does have 3 super bars, so he can get full usage of his supers and infinity counters. Of course, he also has this unique gem, which is power, which is the power gem, which basically allows Wolverine to rack up more damage and more hits in general than he would normally not do. So as you can see, you can almost guarantee an immediate stun on enemies just with the power gem alone. And not only that, rack up a ton of more damage as well. But anyway, that covers the Wolverine guide. Sorry about having to do this retake, but I wanted to make sure that we got everything correct and be a little bit more suitable to be put up on YouTube. But anyway, thank you all for coming over to watch this again. So my apologies for the retake, but it was a must-need. And I will see you all later on tonight for more Marvel superheroes as we play the Juggernaut in both speedruns and casual matches. And this VOD will be highlighted and exported to YouTube sometime later today. So I'm Storm 331 signing off. Have a great day. Take care, and I will see you all next time.